me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go! I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the tension. In my thoughts.
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Today we're going to be discussing something that I think might be argued about now. And it's going to be Jonathan Taylor. And do we need to trade for Jonathan Taylor still? So what we saw out of the Miami Dolphins in this last game is that we can run the ball with the people that we do have. And we have to really take into consideration is that the New England Patriots are a really good rush defense team. They're a really good defensive team all around. Bill Belichick was known as a defensive coordinator, the defensive genius. That's why Tom Brady and Bill Belichick worked so well together, is that you had the offensive guy and then Bill Belichick was the defensive guy, and they were like a perfect marriage. So what we have to really consider is that there's been a lot of trade rumors about Jonathan Taylor, and is he coming to the Dolphins? Is he going somewhere else? Is he staying with Indianapolis? And what we have to consider as well is that we're going to have to give up probably a second-round pick for him. Here's what I'm saying, and this is going to be my argument. You may disagree with it, you may not. It is up to you. But what I can say is, if Mostert, because the thing is Mostert put on a lot of weight in the offseason as well to handle the brunt of the season. You know, we get Jeff Wilson back. Chris Brooks is pretty good. Salvon Ahmed is doing his thing. Devon Achane is slowly coming back into the mold. Here's what I'm saying. A second-round pick for Jonathan Taylor, I understand, is great, but Jonathan Taylor also was a second-round pick. So what we also can think about is that we are not really, I mean, we can be, but we're not really a running team. We're a passing team. We are a passing offense. We use a lot of trickery, and we'll run the ball as well. Mostert rushed for a lot of yards last week. And we also have to consider that we have a better offensive line. I'll make a video about that probably later this week, but we have a better offensive line this year. And what that does is that you aren't going to be taking the same amount of hits that you would as you did last year. What we really have to think about is that if Mostert can keep running like this, because Mostert was really good last year. I don't know where this whole thing comes from, where, you know, I mean, Mostert had more yards per carry than Jonathan Taylor last year. And if we ran the ball a little more, he probably would have had 1,000 yards. So what I want to really consider is that if Mostert keeps running somewhat like this, or less than this, but even still kind of like this, that is pretty good to me. And instead of getting, you know, somebody for a second-round pick and possibly more picks, maybe save that second-round pick and draft a running back next year. There's so many running backs coming out of the draft next year. I mean, you really have to consider that most of the time, every single year, 3, maybe 4 running backs end up starting. So the thing is you can always find a running back in the draft. And we got one this draft too, where, you know, Devon Achane is coming into the mold. I can really tell you that I believe that Mostert can do this. I think Mostert is one of the better options that we have. And then, you know, you have so many weapons. You have Devon Achane that does the pass catching. Salvon Ahmed is doing pretty good at that as well. He's not the best. He's not going to be amazing, but he has been making some plays, and so can Devon Achane. You know, you get Jeff Wilson back from injury. Mostert can carry the load enough so that, again, we're a passing offense. We're going to pass the ball a lot. We'll run the ball when we need to, but we're not a running team. We don't need another running back that we need to pay for multiple years. You have to also consider that, you know, we're going to have to pay people pretty soon as well. So having to put another paycheck on this team, plus losing a second-round pick, we can draft somebody. You know what you can get in the second round? There have been, Xavier Howard came out in the second round. Jonathan Taylor came out in the second round. I mean, there's so many players that come out in the second round that you can use that pick for. And there's going to be a lot of running backs coming into this season, or this next season. And there's a lot of, just a plethora of players that you can have. And I don't know, for me personally now at this point, I think Mostert can, I think he can do this every single game. Not the same level, obviously not 171 yards, but I think he can carry the load enough where we have a running back by committee. We don't need to spend all this money on Jonathan Taylor, which would be cool, but we don't need that. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, what I would rather do, I would rather throw that second round pick for a middle linebacker somewhere instead, because our middle linebackers are horrible. You know, I mean, David Long is coming into his own, but I don't think they thought that they were going to be this lost in the beginning of the season. And the next reason that we really need to consider this is that Jonathan Taylor has been off injured for a decent while now. I mean, you're going to be throwing this second round pick for someone that can possibly get injured. You know, I mean, you got to consider. Look at the Aaron Rodgers situation. You throw this high round pick. You know, you throw all this money at this person, and they get injured the first play. You got to consider that Jonathan Taylor has been injured. He was injured last year, and people forget he was injured in the offseason this year as well. That's why he's on IR. It's not from last year. He was injured again in the offseason. So you're going to be throwing this second round pick at a guy that has been injured for the past couple years. Yes, the talent is there. The talent is great, but you don't know if he's going to stay on the field. And seeing what Mostert did against a good rushing team, what it makes me believe is that Mike McDaniel just steps away from the run, or it's just a philosophy of what he believes will win the game. If passing I think we're all sitting back here, couch coaches. He might believe that at this point in the time, passing will win this game. At this point in the time, running will win this game. And this is on what he wants to do. And if Mostert can keep rushing like this, which I believe he will, because if you even look last year, he was. He was running like this. He was running like this for a long time. There was a lot of games. Even the Jets game, he was keeping us in that game. The Vikings game, he was keeping us in that game. He was running a lot of the games just like this. And he's put on more weight. And he feels lighter. And the thing is Mostert, he's just as injured as Jonathan Taylor. But that people don't want to consider that. People want to say that Mostert gets injured, but so does Jonathan Taylor, except we're going to have to pay all this money and throw draft picks at him. I don't know. Me personally, to kind of conclude this video, is I just believe that, doing all that for Jonathan Taylor, I think what we got to see is exactly what we saw last year with Mostert. He can run the ball. He can run the ball very well. And he bounces off tacklers, and he gets 5 yards per carry, every single carry. And he just has that spark at the running back position. And I'm telling you, he looks just like one of the better running backs in this league. He knows which holes to pick. He knows which way to go. And he gets touchdowns, man. He gets a lot of touchdowns. I personally don't think we need Jonathan Taylor anymore. I think Jeff Wilson comes back. I think Devon A-Chain gets more integrated into this offense and eventually takes Salvon Ahmed's place. But even Salvon Ahmed is doing what he needs to do. And I just, Eric Izukama, you have to consider that we kind of use Eric Izukama like a running back too. So that's another rusher that we put into the mold. I don't believe at this point. I think there's more that we need. I think if we're going to throw a second round pick at anything, it needs to be a middle linebacker. It needs to be someone that can man that middle linebacker, because Jerome Baker stinks. And David Long kind of just looks lost. So I would much rather take that second round pick, take some money, throw it at a middle linebacker that can come in and do something for this defense, because right now the middle linebacker position is kind of struggling. It's not what we thought it was going to be, and we need one, So I'd much rather have that for any sort of money and any sort of draft picks than a running back, because what we saw, 2 days ago, is that we can run the ball very easily against a good rush defense. And the Patriots, the Eagles are a rushing team, and they were struggling a little bit against them. we can run against the Patriots. We can run against any team. And Mostert looked really good. I don't think we need Jonathan Taylor. I think you just give the ball to Mostert, develop Devon Achane a little bit more, and just stick with the guys you have. And again, if you needed anything, it was more on defense. You know, the rushing attack and the offense looks fine. The offense looks fine. It's the defense that sometimes looks a little sussy. But we'll see what happens. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Maybe you tell me why we need Jonathan Taylor. But as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up, baby. Peace.